It is good. It's good. All right, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. Chilling, brother. Thank you for checking in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this, though. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. All right, so first thing first, I did want to go over the trade that I took this last, I believe it was Thursday night going into Friday to end the week. So it was actually a crazy move on AUD USD. So let's break that down first. Now, if we zoom out to the higher time frames, I believe I actually started the analysis on the weekly for this one. Now, what we can see here is overall price is definitely in an uptrend structure. If we look to the left, you can see that we broke past this high here. If we look to the left, we've also broken past this resistance. So potentially price had to come back up here to retest to potentially find a place strong enough to reverse from. All right, so overall on lower time frames, like the daily time frame, I did draw out my possible resistance levels. And for example, what we can see is price actually snapped right through this level here and continued pushing up. Now, with that being the case here, we knew that the next potential place that price would push to is way up here, which is the next daily resistance level. So when we drop down to the lower time frames, for example, what we can see is that overall price was maintaining the bullish structure. So we continued to put in higher lows on the H4 time frame that eventually pushed us up, broke us through this level, and will potentially push us up even higher for around 133 pips on this trade. Now, the thing with support resistance and trend lines and all that kind of stuff is the higher the time frame, of course, the stronger the level will be. So for example, if you can find a level that has confluence, for example, with several different confirmations, so let's say, you know, a level of support, you can also call it demand. Of course, with a trend line tap or something like that, it's definitely going to be a lot stronger. So what I noticed is coming off of this zone we have here, price tapped it once, twice, three times, even came back for a fourth time, which is what signaled that potentially we're going to see some upside coming in. Now, the main thing to keep in mind here is that overall price transitioned back bullish on the H4 before this actual push happened. Now you can see we left this higher low to a potential higher high here, pulled back, and then we made a new high here. Now we had two candles, two bearish candle closures here, which for me confirms that this is a pullback and this is a higher low that led to a higher high. Now, once this was broken, we technically transitioned on the H4 back bearish. Okay, so we started making lower highs and lower lows. But like I said, we had a trend line here that overall held price up. So price kept tapping it, trying to retest it, but it could not break it. We ended up finding support here and pushing back up. Now, what we see happen here is that price made a new level of support, pushed away, retested twice, and made a new high. Now, once it did this, it's transitioned back to a bullish market structure. You call it price action structure. But basically, it had to transition back to the bullish momentum before overall making a new higher low to push up. This is something that you learn as you trade more and more, but price always pushes and pulls back. Price isn't just going to make a new high automatically from here when it broke price action structure bearish over here. It has to hit a level, retrace, confirm the break of structure, and then continue. All right, so overall, I've seen this long wick close on the H4 and then on the H1 time frame. What I noticed is that price was basically maintaining a new level of support. So basically, the same thing comes into play as far as structure goes. You had a higher low point here that led to a higher high point up here. All right, so once we had this higher high made, I was waiting to see, okay, are we going to get a pullback to potentially this level or this level? You can see the price pulled all the way back past our zone. Technically, this would be a lower low, but we never got a follow through from a lower high to a lower low to confirm that transition. Instead, we ended up maintaining the structure, the bullish structure. We made a new level of support here and pushed up a little bit. We fell, and we actually had a new trend line being maintained off of these wicks here. So you can see that was drawn into the future. And there's actually a wick coming down to tap that level right there. Let me see if I can get a better glimpse of it. All right, there we go. So we actually had two candlesticks come down and try to retest this trend line level here. And once I seen these candles close, I already knew that price was overall maintaining a level of support in confluence with this trend line. So once I seen that, basically I dropped to the lower time frames. And this is where the magic is. All right. So overall, when we go down to the lower time frames, you can see, the formations coming in. Now, this is an inverted head and shoulders pattern, but it takes time to form. Overall, we are transitioning for higher time frames. We're taking H4 back bullish, H1, and so on. So it's going to take a lot more time to form than if we're just taking like an M15 or M30 trade. Now, I took this trade off the 1 minute, but I want to show you guys the M3 entry first real quick. So if you look at this trend line, and I could actually update it a little bit just to actually tap the wicks. So you can draw a trend line off of point A and point B, basically draw it into the future. So you can see price try to break out of it twice, but never did. Now the key here is to wait for an actual break, a confirmed break, a retest, and a follow through or rejection from a level outside of that trend line. So for example, we did get a break here and a break here, but upon trying to retest the trend line, we fell right back under it. Okay, so price will tell you when it's ready to transition and go into the new momentum. Now you can see here we got the breakout here, got a retest, and we got bullish engulfing. Got another bullish engulfing, and we even got another bullish engulfing here. So those were optimal entries off of the 3 minute time frame. Now I actually entered over here off of the 1 minute time frame. All right, so we can see that price basically tapped the zone here. And basically I was just looking for trend lines, right? So overall, I ended up seeing when price bounced up here, we had a 1 minute trend line that was based off of these 2 points here. Price pushed down. I was waiting for a breakout, a retest, and then, bullish engulfing candlesticks to get in on. So I actually waited until this bullish engulfing closed here, and I took the trade there. Now, of course, with spread on my account, my entry ended up being up here, which is perfectly fine. So I used a 10 pip stop loss on this. And keep in mind, this is the 1 minute time frame. So, at the most, my drawdown was about 4 or 5 pips before going right back in a profit. All right, also, looking at the time that this trade took. So this was at 18 o'clock. So that's about 6:43. And price went fully into profit around 21 o'clock. So that's like, I believe, 9 or 10 p.m. my time, Pacific Coast time. So once we actually made this bullish engulfing here, we never went back negative. We never went back into drawdown. We just literally smashed upwards. So my first take profit was the H1 structure here. Now, overall, I knew that if price did not want to break through this level here, that we could potentially push back downwards. Now, we see that we literally just smashed through that. So my next target was, of course, the H4 structure up here off of this zone right here. And it did coincide with the daily level as well. But once again, this was playing out for a higher time frame. So this was playing out for actually weekly and daily continuation pattern. We were able to catch price from a potential higher low point with an engulfing on the daily time frame to a new high, and is breaking out of this overall consolidation. You can also see that price was actually breaking a trend line here. Okay, so this is how you kind of coordinate and correlate all of the time frames. Dope. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. All right, so nonetheless, we got that push up, and basically into the next week, what I'd be expecting is either a continuation up to the next zone up here, or we might get a pullback anywhere from here to around here, to potentially, get price to push higher eventually. But I definitely do think we're bullish right now. If we look to the left over here, we basically had this whole area of just like a breakout range, because it was just like a strong impulse from up here all the way to down here. So with that being said, we don't really have anything for price to react off of or reverse from. So it could just be all momentum pushing up higher. All right, but yeah, that was the trade. So overall, I believe I had about at least three confirmations. We had the trend line, we had the H1, we had the H1 trend line, we had the M15 demand zone here. Yeah, we had the M15 demand zone here that was being maintained. We also had price maintaining a daily zone, making higher lows off of it. So there were several confirmations. Also, you can see when zoomed out, this was a bigger triple bottom reversal pattern. We had smaller head and shoulders on the lower time frames with an engulfing. So this was a optimal trade. This is the type of trades I like to take. So what I'm working on now for myself is actually being more patient when it comes to, waiting for these kind of setups, because, once you get funded, you can literally only take a couple trades per week, per month, or whatever, and still make a very good amount of money. So that's definitely going to be my next focus. If you guys have any questions or anything you want me to go over particularly, please just, leave a comment and let me know. What's up, you guys? Thank you for tuning in. For Lauren, AJ, Newsome World, what's up? What's up? If you have any questions, just please leave them, and I'll definitely make sure I go over. All right, let's see what's popping on EURUSD. So what I'll do now is I'll kind of just mark up this chart from scratch, show you guys my thought process, and potentially show you guys some setups for next week. So overall, we'll start off on the weekly time frame. Now we can see the overall trend on this time frame is definitely bullish. We're pushing up, making higher highs and higher lows, but we do want to look at the details as well. So particularly, I do see that we did break a level of support here, and we're maintaining it. So we pushed off of resistance and we fell to a new floor. So right now we can see that we wicked up to previous resistance and we made a doji candle. Excuse me. Now dojis are indecision candles, right? So what we want to do is find out some more information. We want to see why it formed this doji, potentially what price can be telling us. So overall, if we look at price like this now, what we want to do is once again analyze the structure of the market on this time frame. So we can see on the daily time frame we had a higher low to a higher high, higher low to a higher high, and then I will consider this all one push once again, because this is a one candle pullback. I need at least two candles for a valid higher low to be formed from it. So we can see that the actual last higher low that led to a higher high was here. We broke structure here, retested, and followed through to a new low. So this overall transitioned the daily trend to a bearish trend on this time frame. All right, so from that, we can see that price maintained the lower high here and led overall to a new lower low. So we are in bearish structure right now. Now we see that our last level of resistance was here, and it was actually maintained once it came back up and retested here. So overall, the way I trade is that basically I want to trap price. Okay, so I start off on the daily time frame, and I want to draw a supply zone, which is also a basically like a resistance zone, or and a demand zone, which is like a support zone. All right, so what I'll do is I'll grab the rectangle tool. All right, and I usually do my daily zones in red because they are very strong levels as intraday traders. They're basically the strongest levels, that we trade to before price can literally reverse very hard on us. So we can use these as optimal take profits. All right, so what I'm going to do is draw a zone basically off the exhaustion, off the wicks up here on the last high before price fell away. Then I want to do the same thing on the last low before price pushed away. So from resistance, I'm looking for a bullish bearish pattern to close. And then for the support, I'm looking for a bearish bullish pattern to close. Once that closes, I draw my zones. All right, now obviously this is a huge area up here. So what we want to do now is fine tune our zone to the wicks on the H4 time frame. So this basically gives us an idea of the extreme areas of price that price will want to go to. So what you'll notice is that price will go from one support to resistance or resistance to support. That's just how it flows. It's like a train station. So if price just left a support level, where do you think it's going to go next? Resistance. So if price creates a new support level on the daily time frame, we can expect price to go to a previous resistance. Now, with us knowing that information and price creating that daily support from here, we understand that all this price action here, we're looking to continue the bullish momentum of that daily time frame. Now, of course, if price does want to transition back bearish, it will tell us, it will show us. And the way it will show us is simply by breaking through floors instead of ceilings. Now, if you look at this example, we can simply see price kept making floors that were being maintained. Even on lower time frames, these wicks that are higher than the other ones are all floors that are being maintained. So this is showing us that price wanted to continue pushing up. It did not want to fall back down. Now, vice versa, if price did want to start trending downwards, what we would have seen is something like this, where we bounce off a floor, and then we break through it, and we start maintaining ceilings. This would have showed us that price wants to overall push back down at these levels. All right, so nonetheless, let's analyze this area on the H1 time frame. So you can actually see, even on the H1 time frame, we never broke structure back downwards. Down here, we had a transition. So instead of making lower highs and lower lows, we started making higher highs and higher lows in price action structure. Okay, so overall, we started maintaining support levels. And once again, these are all technical zones that you can take trades off of. Okay, so basically this zone was created. Price came back and wicked it on this candlestick here and pushed up to a new high. You could have caught a trade on a lower time frame here, or you could have waited for this impulse back to this area, taking the trade there on lower time frames and taking the trade up. Okay, nonetheless, you can keep moving up with price. Now you can see here that we also had a bullish bearish bullish continuation pattern form. Now, once it did that, that establishes that that is a level of support as well, because price tried to stop at it, couldn't overall push price down. We maintained and then pushed up. So at that level, you can see that price came back perfectly and retested it here. So overall, once again, this was not the last higher low to a higher high. That's how a lot of traders get faked out. They think that a one candle pullback is a valid higher low point. and it's not. This is simply just price action movement, continuation, okay? This is just showing that price is very strong. It's in the bullish momentum. All right, so we get the 2 candle pullback here, turns into 3 candle. We find support at the previous high, and then we continue the overall trend. So this was all continuation. This was all continuation, and this is all stuff we could see from breaking down the market from the higher time frame, like the daily time frame, all the way down. Can you go over how to set up your charts? For sure, I definitely will. I focus on gold. All right, cool. So I don't really trade gold, honestly, but what we can do is definitely go over gold. So if you want to give me your opinion on where you think gold is headed, and then what I can do is mark up the chart as well. We can kind of bounce ideas off each other if you want to. All right, cool. So let's see. So yeah, we got the bullish engulfing here. Price pushed up. We get a retest on lower time frames, and then we get the continuation. Now, as you can see here, we got a huge push from this higher low to this higher high. Price is now trending bearish. Or I'm sorry, not trending, but it is flowing bearish in momentum right now. But it's still overall bullish. We're still making higher lows and higher highs. This is all just a complex pullback in price action structure. So basically, price can pull all the way back to this level of support before actually breaking structure. So we can easily see something like this happen, and then we get like a double bottom or some kind of formation, and then we push up and continue to the overall zone here. Now, once again, this will all just depend on how much momentum is actually in the market at the time. Now, one thing I do like to do as well is look for potential trend lines or things that could potentially hold price up. So I do see we have a point A here and a point B here. So if we draw this into the future, we can see that potentially it could get a retest from price and overall hold up the trend. Now, it's not likely that price will literally just crash down to this trend line. Most likely, it will consolidate, move sideways a bit, and potentially hit something like that. And then if it wants to continue up, it'll bounce off like that. Now, another technique with trend lines, whatever time frame you drew the trend line on, that's the same time frame that has to break that trend line with the actual candle and a retest, and then a continuation pattern. All right, so yeah, overall, I do believe that EUR/USD is still very bullish, at least up into this area here. I do see that we did have a strong break of structure here, though. So potentially, I do see us maybe hitting this level or even retesting here. And then if we do start seeing a lot of rejections in this area, keep in mind that this could potentially, be another push downwards. But see, this is why we trap the extremes, for an example. We want to see the furthest place the price can go before actually, transitioning or breaking a certain trend. All right, so yeah, my overall outlook on EUR/USD is lower time frames still bullish, higher time frames bearish. So just trade in between these two daily levels accordingly. Like I said, in 4-hour structure shows you a break of structure, starts breaking floors, definitely take it short. If it maintains floors and is breaking through ceilings, maintain your bullish bias. All right, so let's check out XAU/USD. And I haven't looked at this pair in a minute. All right, so let's start from a clean chart. So let's look at the weekly first. So overall, on the weekly time frame, we are still bullish. This is our last higher low that led to a higher high. So this is all a complex pullback, but since it's on the weekly time frame, for us, it would actually be basically a downtrend structure. So we can see we had a support level here that was broken, retested, and a follow through occurred. We are sitting close to a support level on the weekly time frame here. So let's go ahead and highlight that. We can change this color to like gray. And let's go down to the daily. All right, so for me, I would not be selling this pair right now because we are sitting on a weekly zone. So weekly zones are extremely strong and volatile. So this could easily send price shooting up and breaking structure right here on the daily time frame. Of course, this also is a daily zone as well. So what we can do is fine tune this zone on the H4. And basically what we want to do is just kind of grab those wicks at the bottom. And you can notice how accurate these are. So for example, if you had this zone drawn from the previous that we just did, when price came down to it, you could have found entries, number one here to ride it up, and also another entry once price retested it again. So let's break that down real quick, and then we'll go back into the overall bias of this market. So if I circle that area, what I'm looking for once price taps this zone is a transition of price action. All right, so overall, we see price come down. It gives us this trend line. So what we're looking for is a break, retest, and a follow through with a bullish engulfing pattern. Now, we did kind of get one here, but I don't personally like that. I like it to be clean. So overall, you can see here, the price had another trend line here, get a break, retest, follow through, and then a bullish engulfing here. From that bullish engulfing, you can see market went bullish. All right, so for my particular plan, my first take profit is usually H1 structure or around 20 pips. So let's say we took a trade here. All right, so let's say we took a trade there. Overall, from that entry on the lower time frames, we had a price go all the way up for about 143 pips before price ended up rolling over again. All right, so from this entry just off of this zone with a pretty small stop loss, you almost made 4 times your money. And that was simply just being patient and trading off of the zone. All right, so that was one entry. You could have caught entries on this whole area. Now, once again, I trade a certain way with how I protect my capital. So once it hits my first take profit, I roll my stop to -3 pips. Now, this can be different on gold. Like I said, it's more volatile. I don't really trade it. So for me to do my actual strategy on it, I would have to do some back testing and just fine tune like how big my stop loss would need to be and like all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, it does show that it's overall reversing. You see on the H1 time frame, we're potentially doing a double bottom and we're pushing off of it now. So overall, I'd want to watch this pair and see potentially if we can break the neckline of this double bottom. If so, then that would kind of tell us that price is showing that it wants to transition back bullish. Also, 8-hour time frame is a very good time frame to analyze on if the 4 hours is a little bit too choppy. So we can see that this is a 8-hour resistance level 2. So like I said, I want to see this broken, retested, and potential follow through. All right, let me check this. I did a quick look on the chart. Off the daily, next major support is 1678. What about the counter trend? So the thing, number one, yes, the market can push lower because, like I said, on the weekly, this is our last higher low. So all the way down here around 1681.68. But overall, the thing is, as you were talking about counter trend trades, the thing is you want to trade with the overall market flow and momentum. For an example, just because this is bearish does not mean I would sell like a continuation sell when I'm sitting at a daily support level. Now, as an intraday trader, I know that daily zones can flip the momentum in the market very quickly. So the thing is, even though it's technically a counter trend, let me show you the pip range from usual reactions to these type of zones. So for an example, let's say this area here. So when price came down to wicked, price shot up almost 350 pips before it decided to maintain the trend. And once again, how does price move? It moves from support to resistance. The price hit a support here and bounced up to a resistance. All right, price hit a resistance and bounces back to support. Price bounces off support, goes back up to a new level of resistance. So overall, you can see how the market flows, especially when you're trading daily levels. There's enough pip range for intraday traders to catch way more pips than they actually need. To be profitable as an intraday trader, you really only need maybe, I would say, like anywhere from like 40, even honestly smaller, like 30 to 60 pips, I would say, like anywhere in there per trade. If you can catch a trade off of a daily level though, and it ends up transitioning, you can literally swing that thing like crazy. So like I said, I would be taking a buy from here and potentially swinging it up to previous resistance on a daily level. And then from there, you can see this price want to break through it and continue up, or does it want to maintain this level and continue down? All right, so once it does that, basically all you're doing is flowing with that overall momentum. So where traders get messed up a lot of times is they're told to follow the trend all the time. And yes, that works. But the thing is, for an example, let's clear this out real quick. Now we're told to follow the trend, but let's say, we were told to overall continue selling it, even though it's at a low point here. Now we get this huge pullback. We don't want to be caught in that pullback. And especially since we're not actual swing traders, we don't want to be sitting in drawdown for a week. We don't want to be negative hundreds of pips. Instead, if we on lower time frames analyze this and understand, cool, we can buy it from here, ride it up. Cool, we could sell it from here, sell it down. Because like I said, we only need a small piece of the overall leg of that structure. All right, so let me draw the daily zone here again. And then I can draw the daily zone off of this level here, and we can fine tune them. All right, so you can see how price flows, and it's literally just like art, bro. Like you can see we had a high here, we had a lower high that broke structure. Now price from that point on maintains lower highs and lower lows of the market, and it just flows, right? So overall, we know that our last lower high that led to a lower low on the 4-hour time frame is this lower high here, which lets us know if price breaks this level, 4-hour is now bullish, which means this is going to be a retrace for a 4-hour time frame. Well, where's the last place that the 4-hour time frame found resistance? Up here. So we understand now that price can potentially push all the way back up here before continuing down if it wants to. Okay, so if we push up here, the next thing I'll be watching is, okay, where's daily structure at? Are we going to break daily structure? So if we continue up, the last lower high on the daily time frame was this resistance level here. If we close candles past that, cool, it's going to be a weekly transition. Okay, and that's how you can catch crazy swing trades, is by starting off with their entry on lower time frames like the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, trading H1 structure and H4 structure. And then if you happen to catch, a trade that breaks H4 structure and goes to daily and breaks daily structure and weekly, you can catch crazy, pips, and you're only risking a super small amount. I've caught trades where I only risked 1%, but I made over 10% on that one trade just by catching it at a transitional point in the market. All right, so I don't really consider I don't consider counter trend trading wrong. I trade momentum, whatever direction the market is telling me to trade. I mostly trade the direction of the 4-hour time frame though, so it allows me enough time to, for an example, catch a good amount of pips. Like I said, I don't really trade gold, so I believe this is like 284 pips or 248 pips right here. But basically what I do on the 4-hour time frame is I trade the zones from the impulse legs. All right, so I'll show you guys what that means. I hope I'm not just like jumping all over the place. I'm trying to like explain as much as possible. You know, I know we don't have forever, so overall, we can see here, you know, basically price broke through a level of support here and made a new low. So for me, this would be seen as my new level of resistance. So overall, what I would be doing is drawing a zone. Oops. I'd be drawing a zone off of these wicks right here. And basically, I want to see a retest to this zone. Then I want to see a transition on the 3-minute or the 1-minute. Now, this is literally all I do. And if you guys can grasp this concept, you can make very, very good profit trading this strategy. Now, what I'm looking for once price comes back and taps the zone is literally a break of my trend line. Okay, so overall, a trend line is a line that basically manages the trend, right? So if that trend line is broken, that means the trend is potentially switching. So overall, we see that the trend line is broken here. And all I'm waiting is for a retest to the trend line and a bearish engulfing. Now you can see we get a bearish engulfing here, and we also get a break of a minor level of support on the 3-minute time frame. So this is confirming that the overall momentum in the market is going back bearish at this level. So overall, for me, I usually have a 35 pip stop. Now, like I said, I'm not sure exactly how these pips work on gold, but nonetheless, I would definitely have it somewhere up here above the zone. And then you can see we went into profit about 38 pips, which would have definitely hit at least TP1. Now, once I hit TP1, I roll my stop down to about 3 pips. So that way it's protected. Okay, so you can see here, price would have stopped us out because it tried to do an overshoot. But once again, it's no issue because we understand it, we stay objective. We know what we're looking for. Okay, so number one, we have a trend line here that's being respected, and we also have a minor trend line here. Now, once price pushes back into the zone, we are not looking to buy it, okay? We are not looking for buys when it's close to the zone until an H4 candle breaks and closes over this blue zone and retests it, okay? So overall, we break this trend line here, we retest, and we're looking for bearish engulfings. Now, this is a 2-pattern bearish engulfing variation here, so this would count as far as an entry point. Now, if you didn't want to enter there because you didn't know if that was truly a break, you could have waited for the retest of this overall higher or bigger trend line, and you could have taken a bearish engulfing here or here. Now you can see once you take that entry, this was the true push. All right, so once again, you could put your stop up here, and you can see that we were able to catch this whole new leg in H4 structure based off of the 3-minute time frame. So our stop losses can be very, very small, and our profit levels can be extremely high. So on this one leg of structure, this was almost a 1-to-8 trade. And that was just until the higher time frames found a level of support and consolidated again. Now let's check this out on the higher time frames. All right, so on the H1 time frame, we made a new low, we consolidated, pushed up to a retracement point. Now, if we're managing our trades correctly, what we're looking for is what structure levels are we now playing off of? Well, we broke H4 support here, so we know that overall we're at least playing off of H4 levels. Now we can see that we broke through this level of support and this level of support on the H4 time frame. Now, price came back up and wicked it and then fell from it. Okay, so that's basically showing us that the market is failing to go higher than that level. So we get a push up, rejection, we start making lower high rejections, and this is basically confirming to us that the market wants to stay bearish. Now, I do also see that we built this little pattern. Now, you can call that like a triangle. I'm not sure if it's like a pennant or what exactly, but nonetheless, it works the same. So overall, knowing that the market is bearish and we're putting in lower high points, I can also draw another zone based off of this bullish bearish rejection. And what I'm waiting for is price to retest it. And you can see it retested right here perfectly. So not only did we catch this trade from way up here that actually ended up going all the way down to a daily zone, because remember, if price leaves a daily resistance, it's headed to a support. This one entry made us a 1 to 17 profit. Okay, now we're going to take another entry off of this zone doing the same exact strategy on the 3-minute time frame. All right, so you can see this was the retest here. It also has confluence with the overall trend line going down for that higher time frame pattern it was making. All right, so overall we have a trend line here, and you can see price broke out of it, retested, bearish engulfing. All right, it's that simple. Oops. All right, stop loss above the zone. And once again, we can catch the whole leg of structure on the higher time frame. So we're going to work up to the H1 again, and boom. Overall, this was a 1 to 13 trade. So this was 1 to 17. Basically, this was 1 to 13. So on those two entries alone, you could have made almost 30% profit on your account, and that's using 1% risk. Now, I always tell traders, like, once they get better and they can, you know, manage, or they can manage to maintain a consistently profitable way of trading, they can raise their risk to 2%, 2.5, and so on. So this could have easily been anywhere from like 30 to 60% gain on your account. All right, so once we hit the daily levels, like I said, usually that's my final take profit. And that is because it's strong enough to reverse price on the lower time frames, like the H1, the H4, and so on. So once we hit that daily level, I take profits, and now I'm trading the opposite way. I'm taking trades off of this daily level and potentially riding it back up to the previous daily level. Okay, now, of course, when you're trying to do this, you want to stay objective. You don't want to just assume that price is going to go from here to here and here to here. Instead, you want to look at what the market is telling you. So, for an example, I can see, let me clean up the chart a little bit, but I can see overall that we potentially have a trend line from point A up here to point B. All right, and we can see that the market maintained it here. So if we want price to come all the way back up here, we first need to break and clear this trend line. Now, if we can't clear that trend line, then we're most likely going to continue this downtrend structure. All right, so once again, since this is a H4 time frame trend line, we need to see H4 candles break out, retest, and then follow through to a new high. I'm sorry, that was an H1 trend line, but it still is very valid on the H4 as well. So yeah, I'd like to personally see H4 candles break through this level, because otherwise it can end up in a situation like this where price stays bearish and completely crashes. But yeah, that's basically the way I trade. So yeah, looking at gold going into this next week, potentially I would have my zone set up as they are now. This would be my overall H4 level zone. So once again, I would be looking for transition off of this, potentially back bearish. If we do break through it, I would want to see it break out of this trend line, retest. And if we get a retest outside of this trend line, that is going to be a great trade. Because if we get that retest, we can potentially take the trade all the way back up to here in H4 structure. And if we break that, we're potentially pushing all the way back up to here. Now, keep in mind, if we do end up pushing all the way back up to here, we can potentially be breaking daily structure, which could overall lead to a continuation on the higher time frame, like the weekly time frame. And if that happens, you know, the sky is kind of like the limit on where price can go. But for me, I just do 3 take profits to make it simple: H1 structure, H4 structure, and daily structure. Yeah, no problem, bro. He said, I agree, but if I do not monitor a counter trend trade, I lose my. I definitely understand, bro. So personally, what you want to do in that situation is decide, number one, what you need to see. So what time frame did you enter on would be the first question I would ask myself. If I enter like on the M3, what I want to see is transition all the way from the M3 time frame up to the higher time frames. So like I want to see M3 break structure. Let's say we took a buy. We want to see higher lows and higher highs on M3, M5, M15, M30. And basically it's going to take time. You know what I mean? Like it's not all going to happen at the same moment. But if you're able to analyze price objectively and not just, get scared out when you see a simple retrace, then you can definitely capitalize on these moves. Let me show you an example again on like AUD USD. So overall, when I was looking for my entry, I entered on the 1 minute way down here. So overall, I was looking for price to hit this level, bounce off the trend line. And once it did that, I drew my trend line going down. We broke through it, retest, and we got it engulfing and engulfing here. So I took the trade there. And basically from that point, you see price start trending back down. Well, remember overall, like I said, if this was the last potential higher low that led to a higher high, then I want to see price maintain this level. And you can see price came back all the way to it, but it did not break through it, which is exactly why we want to wait for the actual transition, the break of the trend line with the retest and a bullish engulfing. Now, once this already transitioned to a new high, I was done looking at it. Now I wanted to see the next time frame transition. All right, so I wanted to see M3 start breaking through resistance levels. So we got a break here, we got a retest, but we didn't get a follow through to a new high. Price ended up pulling back, and we got like breaks, retests, follow throughs here. That kind of confirmed like a transition was coming in on M3, but the real transition came in once we got this bullish engulfing candlestick here. Once we got that, M3 was confirmed transition back bullish. It was basically the same for like M5, M15, like all that kind of stuff. So you want to look for confirmations that will basically let you know that you're overall trading the right direction. Usually if you're waiting to get those confirmations on the higher time frames before taking a trade, you're already in the trade too late. Now I'll show you an example of that. So let's say overall we are waiting for this market to go back bullish on the H1 time frame. Now some people who trade off of the H1 closures would have got in here, which isn't bad. Like it would have only been, about 3 pips of a worse entry than we got. Now, for the person who needed to see a break of structure on the H1 before taking this trade, they would have got in a whole 16 pips above us, which means that we already parceled out once and protected our trade while they're just getting into the trade. Not only that, but they now need a way bigger stop loss to go under structure. All right, while we can have an extremely tight one at like 10 pips and capitalize off of this movement. So overall, I'm up about 101 pips on this trade. So 1 to 9. I actually did just end up finishing taking profits because on the FTMO account, you can't swing the trades over the weekend, unfortunately. So I'm more using that account to kind of just like grow personal capital and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's check this out. I enter on the 15-minute and trade on the H1, but if I counter trend, I scalp and stay on the 15. Yeah, that's dope, bro. That can definitely work for you. What I would say do is like, even though you say you trade the 1 hour time frame, you should still look at the higher time frames, like at least the 4 hour, because if you know where those structure levels are, it gives you a bigger picture of overall where price can potentially go. And if you have a bigger picture, then like I said, you have a bigger pip range. So now you can still take your entry on the 15-minute time frame, for an example, and get the small stop loss, but you can now maximize your profits on that trade by swinging it up to a higher time frame level. What's up, you guys? Thank you for the new people that joined the webinar. Make sure that you leave your comments, you leave your questions, and I'll definitely answer them. Okay, dope. I turned off the 4 hour for sure. That's dope. Now, I think for you, if you want to, it's totally up to you. But if you wanted to kind of go to that next level with your entries, I used to do the same thing and enter on the M15, but I ended up learning the lower time frames very well and how to catch the transitions. Like I can literally catch, like for an example, on a GJ trade I took, I want to say like 1 or 2 weeks ago, I literally caught 160 pips or something like that with a 5 pip stop loss. And it was because I entered off the 1 minute transition. So, even for yourself, I don't know if you're very comfortable with the 15 or you want to look to, improve your entries even more, but you can definitely even look at, moving your entry time frame down to like the M1, M3, M5. If you want any tips on that, of course, like just let me know, bro. But yeah, like that's literally how I trade. So to give you like a quick run through of exactly what I trade and how I trade is literally from the daily time frame, I'm trapping price. So I need 2 daily zones on my chart at all times. All right. And basically I'll analyze the direction of that market. So I want to see overall, okay, the daily time frame is bullish. Now what I want to see is where are the last support levels and resistance levels on that time frame. Okay, so for an example, since I already finished this trade, I've already taken pictures of it and all that kind of stuff. We can delete the chart. So this was my last level of support on the daily time frame. All right, so let's go to the 4 hour time frame and we can fine tune that to the wicks down here. And then we can scroll, or let me go back to the daily first. But we have to scroll all the way over to the last reaction point on the daily time frame. Now for this one, just going to do the little cheat code, extend right. Let's go to the 4 hour. All right, so we can fine tune that to the wicks on the 4 hour up here. And now we trapped price. We have our 2 levels that we potentially want to see price respect. All right, so we can obviously tell on the H4 time frame this is heavily bullish. So the next thing we want to do is draw any trend lines that we see potentially can be respected. So we know we have this one here. And basically from where the market is now, I do not see price coming all the way back to retest like this last higher low. Most likely what we could see is price potentially maintain the last level of resistance on the daily time frame in the H4 and potentially use that as support now. So potentially we can see price pull back to here, make a pattern somehow, and then push back up. Or we can see price maintain and literally just push back up to this zone before we get any kind of pullback. Now you can see that price currently is still maintaining higher lows even on the H1 time frame. Now, remember, if we need to see a pullback on the H4 time frame or the daily time frame under it has to transition. So for price to pull back on the daily, H4 has to do a pattern and then break structure. If H4 needs to retrace, H1 has to make a pattern and break structure. So overall, we know that as long as H1 structure is maintaining higher lows, we are not going back down. Okay, so if we do see a break of these structure levels on the H1 going into the next trading week, you can potentially see price retest and start making lower highs for that retrace down. Hey, thanks for tuning in, Elisa Marie. If you have any questions, just let me know. But yeah, right now we're just going over, some different setups that I took. Like I was saying, the AU trade was very good. And this is something that you can catch all the time. So now that we kind of went over charts, I do want to kind of break into, the psychology of trading as well. What I feel helped me out. Thank you, bro. Yeah, that was a dope trade. Killing my trading course psychology right now. Check out XRP when you get a chance. You done brought crypto into this. Okay. I got you. Let's check that out, and then I'll jump into the psychology portion. All right, all right. Ooh, 50 cent. All right, we just broke the trend line. Cool. Yeah, I'm waiting for a dump on XRP, and I think it's coming very soon. Because look, we just how we were going over, how the market moves. I don't know. I must have drew these like a minute ago. I was analyzing since way over here, December. But yeah, we can see that price made a high here, for example, but we are no longer maintaining floors. We just broke through this floor on XRP USD, right? So if we're breaking through floors, we're maintaining ceilings now, which means we're doing a staircase pattern down. All right, so we're basically taking the pair into the basement at this point. You know what I mean? Versus, taking the stairs up. So potentially this could be our next level of support for XRP to reach before potentially pushing back up. So that's right around like 42 cents, something like that. If it does want to push up, I mean, it can. Crypto is a little bit weird because it's very fundamental. So, you can think you have your analysis correct, and then, Elon Musk says he's buying 50 million coins, and then it just goes crazy. So, yeah, I definitely see us overall going back down now. Let's see. Yeah, so overall, if we look at the higher time frames, the monthly's been looking pretty. Let's see. I would say overall, the monthly's probably bullish. It's hard because we don't have too much data. We have this huge spike on the monthly, so we're potentially just building this kind of like consolidation area. Even though this did break up, we rejected right back down, which shows us that this was not a valid break of structure. Then we had this monthly candle close, but it did not break above any levels. You know what I mean? It maintained these last highs. So as long as we don't break past these and close a monthly candle over it, we're definitely going to continue seeing some potential downside on that. Another thing is price just made these long wicks to the top on the weekly time frame. Now, when price does this kind of pattern, it's usually potentially telling you something. It's telling you that a lot of people are taking profits up here. And retail traders do not make wicks, especially this long. It's the banks, it's the institution, it's the whales in the market. You know what I mean? So if the whales are taking profit here, that's telling you something. That's telling you that they know what's about to happen. Why would a whale take profit at 70 cents if he potentially thinks XRP is going to $30 or whatever it is before a retrace? You know what I mean? So it's something to think about, and just kind of, add it to your whole mindset as far as, trading cryptos. Now, this, like the strategy I was showing you guys about like how to, take trades from H4 and daily zones and all that, works perfect on cryptos as well. Like I said, you just kind of have to move the stop loss a little bit further because it is a little bit more volatile. Let's see. XRP USD, Poloniex, way more data. Let me check. Oh, I guess this was I don't know. I guess I used this chart the last time I was charting because it does say I bought some. Yeah, so I bought it on the wicks way down here again. My first entries on XRP were, I think over here, like 18 cents, somewhere over here. And I actually caught this push all the way up. I ended up taking profits. I took different profits all the way up here, but I think I got out with everything around like 250-ish. And then once it started correcting, I put some money back in. So we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it is what it is. Let's see though. All right, so yeah, it kind of looks the same. So overall, this was like an important zone that I had drawn. Like we need to see price break and maintain this level. So as you can see right now, it's kind of fighting to decide what it wants to do. But we'll see if it can maintain and push up higher. We'll probably get a bullish push. If we can't maintain and we stay under these levels, we'll definitely head back down. Now, I personally do think that we're headed back down. At least until like 20 cents again. I really want to see like a retest of like 15 cents or something like that. Hopefully we can get it. If we can't, it is what it is. But okay, so now that we kind of went over how to chart, how I trade, what I see in the market and all that kind of stuff, next thing I want to talk to you guys about is psychology. You have to have the right mindset when you're approaching the markets. You know what I mean? So to trust your trades is going to be one of the biggest things you can learn how to do. Now, to build confidence in the way you trade, you of course have to do back testing. You have to train your mind on, basically the same way you play sports or anything else you do in life. Like you have to be able to trust yourself. Now, the thing that people don't understand about psychology is that it's affected by a lot more than you think it is. So for an example, you just scrolling on Instagram can affect the way you trade if you follow people who trade and they have Lambos or they just cashed out $30,000 or, all this different stuff. It plays into your mental, even if you don't even even if you're just scrolling, right? And you're just kind of gazing at your phone, but not really paying attention to it. It all plays a factor in your mindset overall because your subconscious is taking that in. Now, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start making trading errors because in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, I have $1,000 account and I'm risking 1%, but I'm not making $100,000. I'm not making 20,000, whatever it is. So you're going to start over leveraging. You're going to start making the wrong mistakes. So one thing I would say to do is minimize your time on social media when you're trying to have a breakthrough or level up in your trading, or at least unfollow the people who you are looking at as goals in your life for trading. For example, for me, like Sean Lee and the Astro FX team, like I definitely think for most people right now, like they're definitely like a standard in the industry, and I definitely respect them and look up to them. But for me, like watching how they live right now, I could not continue watching it because I'm not at that level yet. You know what I mean? And I'm working towards it, and I will be. But for me to be where I'm at in my trading and try to look at them and what they're trading and dropping 80 lots and this and that is going to make even my 2 lots look like trash. And the thing is, like, I know for myself, I don't even need 80 lots in my, to handle what I have going on in life and this and that. So you definitely have to make sure you keep everything in perspective. You know what I mean? As far as what you're taking in. Also, everything is affected by your emotion when you're trading. Okay, so even the stuff you eat, I'm sure you guys heard the thing like saying that your gut is your feeling in a way. You know what I mean? So what you eat, for example, if you eat a lot of fast food, if you eat a lot of stuff that makes your stomach hurt or makes you feel sleepy, I'm sure all of us had that meal before where it's bomb, like it's good. Like for me, it's orange chicken. Like I used to tear that up, and then after I just wanted to sleep because there was so much salt and like all that kind of stuff in it. So if you're trying to trade when you're already feeling that kind of emotion, like you're tired, you're kind of laid back, or like your stomach hurts, so you're feeling these negative emotions, that's going to carry over into your trading. So definitely just keeping things in mind like that. Trying to eat a little bit healthier, or at least I would say even fast before trading, and then you could eat after. Because that way you'll be good. So for an example, if you trade New York session, like for me, I'm in California, so I trade at 4:30, or I wake up at 4:30 and trade around like 5:36. But I'll just fast and maybe drink coffee or tea before that, so I know that I'm clear. I don't have to worry about feeling too tired or feeling bogged down because I ate too much and this kind of stuff. Trying to think of more tips, man. One thing I would say definitely has helped me out is visualizing. So visualizing my goals on the charts, and also visualizing my setups on the charts. So I actually have this book right here. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. Now this thing is dope. Now I'm sure you guys heard of other books probably based around this, like Think and Grow Rich. What else? Basically, like any psychology book, it's pretty much based off of these same topics that are in this book. Now, what he talks about is how our mind functions in two different ways, basically. We have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. So when you're making these trading mistakes over and over again, a lot of times it's those subconscious beliefs coming up. Now, for an example, let's say that, when I was little, my dad had told me something like, you better save your money because you don't know the next time you'll get it. Or, money doesn't grow on trees for us. We got to work hard for money, and all these different things. And you don't even realize later on in life, you're being affected, by those beliefs. Because now when you're trading and you realize with trading, you don't have to work hard. It's simple. You sit in a chair all day. You're looking at the charts. The only thing working is technically your brain and your finger on the trigger to pull the trade. So it's definitely a key, to watch what you're putting in and also analyze, your beliefs. If you can analyze your beliefs, then basically you can start realizing a lot of the things that, how do I word it? A lot of the things that you're seeing in your trading, like the patterns coming up in your trading, is actually caused by these previous beliefs. And if you can recognize them, or even, be aware of them, you can now change them. So in this book, he talks about there's basically two ways to change them. And one way to change them is conscious. So where you make the decisions, you make the goals, you make the arrangements to be disciplined, and you change that belief by questioning it, basically. So like I said, let's say that we have this belief that, money is hard to make. What I want to do is really like grab a piece of paper and I'll write down that belief, and I will start writing down, does this belief serve me? No. Why do I believe this? Well, my dad told me this when I was younger, and, I thought he was right. I always seen him working hard for money and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you wrote down why. But you can say, is this belief true? You know what I mean? No, it's not true. This whole day and age is basically a whole bunch of young people making money on the internet, making more than their parents, making crazy amounts of money with cryptos and all this kind of stuff. So it's obviously not a true belief. So by you talking about it, working out in your head, and, truly debunking it in a way, it loses its power. Now, everything, like I said earlier, is emotional. So these beliefs had emotional value. That's the only reason it was stuck in your head, because when your dad said it, or whoever said it, you truly believed it. You really took it to heart. All right. So the same thing has to happen when you're trying to change that belief to something positive. So for an example, if you want to now change that belief to money is easy to make, I am able to, make large sums of money through trading and this and that, you have to feel good about it. You have to imagine yourself already there in a way where, you can change those negative beliefs to a positive belief. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of like, oh, just think happy, or, oh, just think positive and, things will work out, or this and that. There is some truth to that. Yes, things can, or your life can look better, or, what you're trying to achieve can seem like it's easier to achieve when you're positive. But the overall thing is, you're going to hit a ceiling. Okay, so you're gonna hit a ceiling on where your own mindset, beliefs, and all that kind of stuff are basically leveled up to in a way. So in this book also it talks about that, and it's really dope. It talks about how even income levels are programmed into us. You know what I mean? It talks about how this salesman was programmed basically at $50,000, and basically he was unconscious, or yeah, he was unconscious about his actions, but he would complain like, I can't break $50,000. I can't break $50,000. But every time he would get to $15,000 in his sales, he would make excuses, or end up sick, or something would happen to cause him to stop or not go further. And once again, it was all his beliefs. After he worked with the actual author of this book, what he started to see is a lot of progress and limits being broken. And that's the same thing with your trading. You can have all the technicals in the world, all the technical skill in the world, and you can still be the worst trader in the world. There's plenty of financial analysts, or there's plenty of financial analysts on the internet. They can tell you which way the market is going to go all the time. I'm sure all of us went through that phase as well, where we felt like we can call the market left and right. But when it came to actually entering and trading that market, it was like a disconnect. You know what I mean? And I think that disconnect for a lot of people is actually leveling up, letting go of the beliefs that, are affecting their trading in a negative way. And as you start doing this, and as you start progressing and leveling yourself up, you start to see like, damn, like I could really do this. Like I just caught 100 and something pips. That was something that I never thought I would be able to do. All right. So this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the visualization. A lot of times we worry about the wrong things, especially with trading. So we worry about, oh, what if it hits our stop loss? Oh, what if we take the trade in the wrong direction completely? Oh, what if, whatever. Or we always think in the past, we think about our previous trades that we took and they went the wrong way. When we think like this, it's literally using our imagination to create that outcome. Okay, so in this book also it talks about how if there's a battle between the conscious mind and the imagination is going to win. So what we want to do is use our imagination in the correct way. We want to use it to create a positive outcome, at least as much as we can. You know what I mean? So what I started doing is spending like 20 to 30 minutes just with my eyes closed or whatever in a comfortable position. You can lay down, you can just sit, stand, whatever you want to do. But you just want to relax and you want to start thinking of, the entries, for example. You can think about like we just went over these entries, right? So you can close your eyes and visualize what we just went over in your head. What do you need to see exactly to enter a trade? You know what I mean? What exactly do you need to see, to exit a trade? What would be the perfect trade for you that you feel like would be the perfect setup? You would know it if you saw it and you could just capitalize on it. You know what I mean? Think about all these things. These are the positive things that you want to think about with trading. Man, there's so much I could talk about on this, but yeah, with that also, you want to be able to visualize yourself being disciplined and being patient. Now, I've always thought that this worked, but I don't know why I've never considered it for trading before reading this book. But it's the same thing. Like, for example, if you had a performance or a speech or anything the next day, you would before that day comes, you would write down your speech. You would close your eyes. You would recite it. You would see yourself on the stage trying to perform it the best as you can without getting nervous. All these different things. So why not do the same thing with trading? Also, there's a study that, for example, there was like these piano players, right? And the piano players were split into 3 groups. One of the groups actually played the piano as normal. They practiced as normal for I think it was like 4 weeks of time. The next group practiced only in their head. So they visualize it, them playing the keys for those or for that same amount of time. And then the last group didn't do anything. They just stayed as they are. Okay. So after that allotted amount of time, which was like the 46 weeks or whatever, the people who actually practice playing the piano and the ones who actually, just visualize it in their head actually made the same amount of progression in their trading. But yeah, so we actually seen, or I'm sorry, they actually seen the same amount of progress in their trading, just visualizing it. So what this does is it allows you to practice trading in a perfect mindset. You can visualize yourself winning the trades. Even if you took losses, visualize yourself taking the trade in the right direction. By doing this, you're practicing trading over and over. You're instilling it in your head, and you're taking out the nonsense and the fear almost and the worry, because now you're building confidence. You're replacing those losing trades in your head with winning trades, and now you can literally practice any time of the day. You can practice when the market's closed, and this is like another way to do what you call it, like back testing. Now, back testing is cool, but it can get a little annoying when, for an example, we're taking entries on like the 1 minute or the 3 minute, and we would have to go all the way back, like a couple weeks and stuff, and then it won't show up data for that amount of time. So yeah, visualizing is definitely something you guys want to start incorporating. I feel like a lot of times, especially with like the bigger mentors and stuff, they don't give out a lot of these tips that potentially they're doing. They want you to pay extra or do all this and that. But like, I truly believe that like we all have the power to be successful traders. We all have the power to level up. We all have the power to, financial freedom for ourselves. We just have to start thinking for ourselves in a way. You know what I mean? So psychology is a huge part. Like I said, it gets deep. There's a lot of parts, but I would say from my personal experience, especially over the last couple of months, making sure I exercise, so getting the body pumping, letting out the stress of trading. And also after a loss, you need some kind of routine to get you out of the funk. Because sometimes you do mess up. Like sometimes I do, over leverage and it turned out to be a losing trade. Or sometimes I do move my stop loss when I should have just taken the L where, I was supposed to. But, by me taking time off of the charts after that, I've noticed it minimizes how much I actually lose. I used to get in cycles, for an example, where, I would take one losing trade and I would want to get the money back, even like right away, instead of eventually, building the account back up. So then it would trigger me wanting to revenge trade. And then from revenge trading, now I blew another 10%. So now I'm trying to chase that. And, it just builds that cycle where you're just in a downhill spiral. But by taking one loss and building a rule for yourself, like, okay, after I take one loss, I got to go for a jog. Or after I take one loss, I got to close the charts for an hour. I got to do something that makes me feel good, maybe listening to music or, whatever it is, to kind of get your mindset to reset before you come back to the markets. All right. So yeah, I would definitely say something like that, like exercise. You definitely want to start doing something like with visualization. I actually have a meditation course too. It's by a guy named Ivan Biagi, something like that. But it's a really dope course. The website is called tradingcomposure.com. And basically what he teaches you through that is like how through meditation, it basically makes you more aware of your thoughts. Now, I know some people think, meditation is like weird or something else, like spiritual, whatever. Literally all meditation means is to know yourself. Now, if you, for an example, just sit on your couch and close your eyes and just breathe, that would be considered meditation, right? But why think about it in a negative way? Instead, it's your natural state. It's your body when you're resting. You know what I mean? And another thing too to consider is when you watch TV, you're put into the same state as you are if you close your eyes and just breathe. Now, basically, this is, the way that beliefs are imprinted. So when you watch TV, what are you doing? You're literally sitting there staring at one thing, focused on one thing, breathing, right? And basically, when you're in that state, you're more susceptible to information, right? So if somebody has a commercial and they want to sell you something, they want you in that state. You know what I mean? And this, like I said, it can be crazy. Like it can go pretty deep, but you know, you have to watch what you're watching on TV, what you're listening to, all these things. Just like I talked about the Instagram, it can all affect you. It can all affect you, your trading and all that kind of stuff. So meditation is nothing more than closing your eyes and breathing. Once you start breathing and all that, you feel your body relaxing. It's natural. You know what I mean? And this helps a lot with trading, because once you learn how to breathe and become aware of your breathing and how you feel, when you start trading, you can say like, okay, before I took this entry, you know, I felt like my heart was racing a little bit more than usual. My hands felt a little clammy or sweaty. Okay, cool. So now you know that either you're probably over leveraging, or you know, you probably were just nervous. You don't have the confidence to trade that big of a lot size, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So these are signs that you can now use to better your trading overall. So as time progresses, you know, you can start journaling these things and you can figure out like, okay, I noticed every time I get into a fight with my significant other, or every time, you know, I don't wake up at the correct time. Like let's say, you know, for my routine, I wake up at 4:30 a.m. every day. So I noticed, you know, if I accidentally sleep into 5 or 5:30, my trading day never goes right, you know, and I never feel like I'm at my best. You know what I mean? By becoming aware of that, I can make sure that I don't trade if that happens. And if it does happen, I can literally, you know, take time to process what I'm going through and potentially change that mood I'm in before I start trading. Also, after you take losses, you want to know how you feel about it. You know what I mean? Like, are you sitting there just angry? Are you sitting there taking it out on your spouse? Are you taking it out on, you know, like the world? If you are, then you're not in the right mindset, because that's going to continue. That's going to continue on a negative path. And basically, if you're feeling bad about it all the time, basically what that's telling you is that you're focused on the past. Okay, with trading, you have to be present. And if you're focused on the past and your last failures and your last losses and all that kind of stuff, you're always going to be behind. You know what I mean? You're always going to be chasing profitability, consistency, all that kind of stuff. You know, I forgot what I read it on, but I read a quote and it said, progress over perfection. And that's the key. We have to make progress on our goals with trading and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And if you don't even know what your goals are yet with trading, you know, that's the first step for you. But that's definitely something I've been embracing lately, just like progress. You know what I mean? Even with doing videos and whatever, like I'd rather make progress and, you know, just put it out there, see how I do, learn from it. Same thing with trading. Take the trades, but use proper risk management so I know that I can take the next trade. You know what I mean? And eventually I know I'm working towards perfection. And even then, I mean, I don't feel like you can ever get to that point of perfection with trading, because you'll never win every trade or make, you know, 100% wins on your accounts and this and that. But you can strive to be the most disciplined person you can. You can strive to be, you know, the most consistent with your trading routine, your trading schedule. You can try to be, you know, overall focused in when it's trading time, no distractions. Like you can make the environment the best it can possibly be so that you can get the best out of your trading. All right, so this, I know it's kind of like a rant, kind of like all over the place, but those are just some of my thoughts on psychology of trading. Like I said, it goes a lot deeper, and there's tons of different ways to improve your trading. But I would definitely say, like I said, watch what you eat, potentially fast before you trade, meditation, journaling, visualization, of course, back testing. And if you feel like you don't actually have a strategy yet or a trading plan, you know, that definitely is something you need to implement into you know, your whole trading routine and all that kind of stuff. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the comments. I definitely appreciate you guys for coming on. Um, Trying to think of anything else I want to, you know, let you guys know. I would say honestly, just remember that trading is not a overnight thing. Like I've been trading now, I want to say like over 5 or right around 5 years, I think, something like that, or right over 5 years. But it's been a continuous learning process. Like I can't say there's been one time where I just felt like I knew everything. Um, there's, you know, like the thing is that you get to these different plateaus, right? So like you feel like you learned a lot, and then you're like, damn, I can't break through this level. Like I take good trades, but then I lose all the money, or you know, whatever the issue that you have that you're going through. But the thing is, you know, you just have to stay consistent. You have to weed out what's not working for you, and you know, keep what is working for you and build on it. You know, and that's all I've been doing over the years. So yeah, I'm glad we could hop on this webinar, guys. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. But yeah, we went over some dope trade setups, went over some psychology. I do also have a couple books that you guys should check out. Give me 1 second to grab some. And yeah, let's see. All right, so first book I grabbed is Trading Beyond the Matrix. Now, this is a really cool book because it talks about how basically trading is an awareness game, and to become a better trader, we have to level ourselves up. Now, once again, how I was talking about, you know, food and all that kind of stuff affects your awareness. That is definitely true. Now, for example, oh yeah, it is for Lauren. This is one of the best books I've been able to find. But yeah, it talks about how, well, like when you're able to change your beliefs, you can level up and you can break through these levels that you feel like you keep hitting and are limiting you from your full potential. This is definitely a really good read. The next one I have here is The Way of the Turtle, which is a really dope book as well. So this book kind of explains how, you know, it was basically a bet between these two traders, and they were saying, like, one of them was saying that trading can be taught to anybody, and the other person was saying that no, trading is a something you're born with, like you just have to be born a trader. And what they learned through, you know, this bet is that trading can actually be taught to anybody. Now, it was very hard for certain types of people to learn how to trade, but they were still able to do it. Now, some it came more naturally than others, and it just depends on different factors like your personality and so on, but it can still be done. So don't ever think you can't be a trader. It's just up to how bad you want it. Next one, compound effect. So this is one like I always go through and I always continue reading. Can you also pin them? Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely pin them. So like I said, the compound effect, it basically teaches you how compounding is a way to think about life. Like it talks about your habits, right? So if every day for a year I decide to drink a beer, you know, my body over time is going to start to react to that. Versus if I did something positive, like eat an apple a day. So it talks about in here, and it has a chart of 3 different people and how their lives go with the different habits they're creating. One was a positive one. One was like he starts listening to positive audios in his car on the way to work every day. He starts commenting his wife or complimenting his wife every day. Like all these positive things. The other one's like just staying the same, doesn't change anything. And the other starts drinking like beers, partying, like all this stuff. And basically you can see how this is going to go. the one that was doing positive things overall had a positive compounding curve. Another way to think about this is the whole compounding of pennies, right? So one person was offered like $9 or $10 million up front, and the other person was offered a penny every day for 31 days. Now, if you guys heard this story before, basically after the 31 days, I believe the penny ends up being worth like 20 million or something, because 1 times 1 and then so on. It's actually worth way more than the other person's money, but they didn't know that. You know what I mean? So this is definitely a good read too. It puts stuff in a perspective and allows you to understand that you don't have to rush trading. You can literally relax, take your time to learn it, because once you do, it can compound so quickly. You know what I mean? All right. The Warren Buffett way. So I'm pretty sure you guys already, have a good understanding of Warren Buffett. So it talks about his mindset, his investment strategies, and all that kind of stuff, which is very cool to just see his perspective on things. It's not to per se agree on everything, but just to see how other traders think. All right. Also, The Richest Man in Babylon. So this is also a very dope book. This is like a classic, but it definitely talks on a mindset of, how to create positive, how should I word it? Lasting effects on your income levels and all that kind of stuff. So it teaches you how to build wealth, basically. And it's kind of like a book of a story. So it leads you through this whole story, but through that story, you start to understand the concepts. And you're just like, wow, like this is pretty crazy. So yeah, these are some books that I'm reading right now. I did also show you guys this one earlier, Psycho-Cybernetics. If there's just one book you can get this one right here. It's crazy. It truly blows your mind, and I feel like that book alone has already helped me so much. Now, I do have one more book, and this one is kind of like a mixture of a lot of different things. So it's called The Use of Guide to Mind, Body, and Spirit. Now, this one is actually from Sean Lee, the trader. This is his other company, and this is actually he said it was like his journal when he was growing up through the years. Now, it has some really good topics that go into how to actually make the changes you want to see in your life and in your trading. So for an example, it talks about, what's in the food, why potentially you feel certain ways. It talks about what I was explaining about like how TV can affect you and all these different things. So this is definitely a good book to pick up if you're overall trying to make, changes in different parts of your life. But yeah, I think that is about it. Hopefully, guys, you found some value in this. Real quick, let me just type them out for you guys. What was the other ones? Trading Beyond the Matrix. And let's see. Compound Effect and Way of the Turtle. Yeah, guys. So what you'll realize is that like trading is a game of awareness, and discipline. So it's like the person with the most awareness, the most discipline, the most focus in that moment, the most present person on the charts, they are going to win the battle. So you have to start leveling yourself up. You know what I mean? All right, guys. So I think I basically covered everything. So I think I'm going to wrap it up now. Do you guys have any last questions or anything you want to talk about? Anything in your personal trading that you're trying to get through, or anything positive you want to say about your trading? How's your trading week? You know. That's what's up. I'm glad to hear you're getting better every week for learn. I've been I've been keeping up with you, bro, and just watching your progress. So I'm definitely proud of you, man. And like, if you have any questions or need some fine tuning on the strategy or whatever, just let me know, bro. Um, that's what's up, Newsom. Trading week went well. 23 wins. Follow trading plan. Very good, bro. Very good. So, do you plan on going live anytime soon, or what's your plan as far as that? Oh yeah, bro. You got to take the loss and keep moving. Oh, bro. Yo, I'm not sure. I think Armand is the one that invited you. I'm not sure, but hit me up on Instagram, bro. Let's chop it up and you know figure out how we can get you to the next level. Got too emotional, definitely, bro. And see, that's the thing. Like, we can have the strategy, we can have everything, but if our psychology isn't right, bro, is everything else is going down the drain. You know. So definitely, bro. What pairs do I normally trade? So I usually trade, like I really like GBP just because, it's pretty volatile. Not as volatile as gold, but it still moves pretty nice. So I'll trade that. Now that I switched to New York session, I don't find as many setups for it. So I trade GBP EURUSD, ABUSD. Really, those are the main ones, like three. But it really just depends. Like, kind of now I'm at the point where I can kind of just look at a chart, and if there's a setup, I can take it. But I'm personally trying to minimize the amount of trades I'm in now and focus on quality over quantity. Like I said, to manage that FTMO account and continue growing it. That's what's up. Won your first two trades. Yeah, that's what happens, man. Like, because you start getting overconfident and then you just start shooting trades in like bop bop. It's like, oh yeah, I'm good, never going broke again. And bro, like, man, I've been there before. Like, I would say throughout my whole journey, I've blown a lot of money. I'll just say that, like, a lot. It's been crazy. Yeah, of course. And you as well, Elisa Marie. I don't think you're already in the group or anything. So definitely shoot me a message on Instagram and we could just connect, chop it up, see if I can, help you in any way. But yeah, and thank you for sharing. No problem. I definitely would like to connect with, like-minded people. And maybe we could even all create, some kind of little group or something. And, I could put more stuff in there as far as like what I'm reading right now, stuff I learned, you know, stuff I'm doing to level up. So yeah. My Instagram is Rayvon FX, RayVaughn FX. All right, cool guys. So yeah, we just hit 100 minutes on this live stream. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. Let me just put it in the comments for you, bro. So that is my Instagram. You guys can reach me there. And thank you guys. I really appreciate your time. Like I appreciate you guys hopping on this. Like truly do love trading. And like one of my goals with trading was really to teach people that you can make good amounts of money without, you know, having to work for others, and also without doing anything illegal. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot of times we get caught in certain mindsets about things, and you know, there's definitely a lot more I would say potential out there and opportunity than a lot of people are aware of, which is why, you know, a lot of people have a bad taste about Forex in their mouth right now, is that like, you know, with IML and all these other groups, you know, kind of put a bad light on it. But it's no different than trading stocks. It's no different than, you know, what investors are doing at the banks, or what you know, banks are doing with our money as soon as we put it in our bank account. So you know, we're just taking opportunities into our own hands, and basically you know, leveling up ourselves. So all right, cool guys, just followed you. Dope. I'll check in after I click off of this. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up here. It was great talking to you guys. I'll see you on the next one for sure.